Down goes Bama. Down goes Bama. Down goes Bama. Welcome back to Gold and Blue today, everybody. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button if you like my content and you want more access to it. And hey, even if you don't like my content, you just want to tell me what I did wrong, that works too. I've been telling everybody since the SEC Championship game, something did not look right with Georgia, especially their defense. The front seven got no push against an average Alabama offensive line, and the secondary was atrocious. Georgia's offense wasn't the issue. I mean, yeah, they had a down day against Alabama in the SEC Championship, but that wasn't the issue. And I warned Alabama fans. I warned them. I said, hey, you got Georgia's C-, maybe D+ game in the SEC Championship. In the National Championship, you're going to get Georgia's A+ game. It's coming. And that's exactly what happened. Now, this game was close going into the fourth quarter, and I expected that because Georgia's offense, not all that great. But I did expect Georgia's defense to eventually win those battles, and that's exactly what happened. They didn't get any sacks in the SEC Championship game. 4 sacks in the National Championship. And I warned Alabama fans that they might not score 20 points because it didn't happen in any of the other games, including the playoff games, except in the SEC Championship against Alabama, and it just didn't make any sense. I've been saying that Georgia did the JOB for Alabama and took a dive. I still think that's what happened, but I'm wording it in a different way. I'm saying that Alabama didn't get Georgia's best game. I'm saying Georgia played their C-, D+ game against Alabama. And in the National Championship, completely different situation. Georgia's offense did struggle. They weren't great. I wasn't expecting them to be great. But they started to commit to the running game more, and that's what changed the game. And really, one play changed this game. One play. And it was right after Bryce Young threw a pass and the receiver dropped it. Would have been down on the 1 or 2 yard line. And the next play, the Georgia defense sacks him for a huge loss, and they blocked the field goal. That was the turning point in this game. That's what changed everything. So it doesn't surprise me that Georgia's offense struggled, and it definitely doesn't surprise me that the Georgia defense did come through, because you can't change things drastically overnight. Yes, Alabama was playing better, but there's no way that their offensive line all of a sudden became a dominant offensive line and could handle that dominant Georgia defensive line. That's just not how it works. If you struggle in the regular season and for the majority of the season, you're going to struggle against a dominant defense. And that's exactly what happened last night in the National Championship. I predicted that Georgia would win by double digits. They did win by double digits, 33-18. I also predicted or warned Alabama fans that they're probably not going to reach 20 points. That happened as well. They only scored 18 points. And I tried to tell everybody that Georgia will sack Bryce Young multiple times, unlike the first time they met in the SEC Championship game. That happened as well, 4 sacks. So the defense really stepped up, and the refs, my gosh, the refs were not any good at all. The same exact situation where the quarterback's arm going forward and the ball comes out both for Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young was called a forward incomplete pass for Bryce Young, but a fumble for Stetson Bennett. Virtually no difference in both of these plays, but it was called different for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe there's not a reason. Maybe it's just bad officiating. But yeah, that can affect a football game. Fortunately, Georgia was able to overcome their mistakes. They were able to overcome the bad officiating, and they were able to win their first national championship since 1980. I saw and heard Georgia fans crying. I saw and heard them shouting. I saw and heard them laughing uncontrollably. You talk about a fan base that has been waiting and waiting and waiting and has been on the precipice multiple times and just couldn't quite get there. They are finally there, and now it's all coming out, all that emotion, all that anger, everything all at once. And Georgia is the national champion. Congratulations, Georgia. You definitely earned it. I thought you were the best team throughout the season. Even when you lost to Alabama in convincing fashion in the SEC Championship, I was telling people, that's not the real Georgia. That game made no sense. If you go back and actually watch game film, and I actually did a video breaking down game field on the Georgia defense, it didn't make sense. Georgia had one-on-one matchups as far as on the line of scrimmage multiple times, couldn't take advantage, and in the secondary, defensive backs were out of place and losing track of their man. It didn't make any sense at all. Well, whatever was going on, they corrected it, and they once again looked like the best defense in the nation, and they were the best defense in the nation. The only team that scored 20 points or more against Georgia was Alabama in the SEC Championship. In second place, Alabama with 18 points, and then you have Tennessee with 17 points. So there was never really any close games for Georgia except for that loss to Alabama. So that's why it didn't make any sense. Congratulations, Alabama. You did surprise me. I didn't think you'd make the playoffs, and if you would have lost in the SEC Championship, you wouldn't have made the playoffs. So I wasn't that far off. I said this was going to be your down year, and it was your down year, and Georgia was the only team standing in the way of an Alabama three-peat, because I think Alabama will go undefeated this next year, and I do think Alabama will win the national championship in convincing fashion, because they're going to dominate the 2022 college football season, and they will be the national champions. So Georgia got it done. They split up the title reigns for Alabama, because I do expect Alabama to win it next year, and a 42-year drought. 42 years. It's been a long time since Georgia's won the national championship. But finally, Georgia is the national champion of this college football season. Congratulations, Dawgs fans. It's been a long time coming. And I was a part of this betting group on a Facebook group where we picked against the spread every single week. Every single week, including bowl games, championships, and the playoffs. And I was up by 1 point going into the national championship. You don't lose any points if you lose, but if you win, you gain 1 point. So what I could have done, I could have waited for the person that was in second place to make their pick and just make the same exact pick. We would have both either won or lost, and I would have stayed in front. Nope. I had so much confidence in Georgia that I took Georgia and I laid the points and actually extended my lead, because the second place guy took Alabama. So I won that pool by 2 points. So I appreciate that, Georgia. I promise you that $325 will be well spent. Georgia crowned the 2021 national champions. And if you're not a college football fan, it's hard to explain the emotion and the investment that you have in your team, even though you've never played for the team, or maybe you didn't even go to that university. It doesn't matter. Your emotions are invested into that football team. So when they win, you're on cloud nine. And when they lose, you're down in the depths. So I can't really put into words for people that are not college football fans how much it means for your team to succeed like this. Alabama fans are starting to get used to it. I mean, they've won half of the national championship in the past 14, 15 years. So yes, I would say this national championship means more to Georgia fans than it would have to Alabama fans. Now, as a West Virginia fan, hopefully, I don't have much hope, but I have some hope. Hopefully one day, before the day I'm no longer on this earth, I will see West Virginia crowned as national champions. Hey, it's a long shot, but we saw Clemson end their drought. Their last national championship before 2016 was 1981, and now Georgia ends an even longer drought, winning the national championship in 2022, and their last title was 1980. So anything is possible. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.